Welcome, I'm Clea from FoodMesh.
And I'm Theresa from Cedar Feast House Catering. My catering company is Indigenous, and what we tend to do is we're creating different dishes. So we want to create a fusion. The dish that I'm making today is beef bourguignon, which is my culinary background, which is French. But we do different things. We do a bison bourguignon with that. It's kind of fun to do different dishes because we're using different countries and recipes, and we're making it into our own, like venison samosas, for instance. So it's quite interesting.
Different influences?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes. And so what's in the dish that we're going to be making today?
The dish is a beef. We're going to do salt and pepper that. We're going to sear it off. We're going to add tomato paste, red wine to deglaze it, some flour to thicken it up, some beef stock to that, and that goes into the oven for an hour. And then in the meantime, we're going to be doing sauteing bacon, onions, and mushrooms, which get put into the dish at the very end once it becomes a nice sauce.
That sounds delicious.
Yes.
And what about if someone wanted to make it vegetarian? Is there something that they could substitute the meat for?
Yeah, you could. I know there's already mushrooms at the end, but you could do a portobello mushroom, which gives you different texture. It's a bigger mushroom. You can sear that, or also using tofu would be a good one to use in place of the meat.
All right, sounds delicious.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's get going.
Okay, let's get started. This is some FoodMesh donations I received yesterday, which is a beautiful sirloin steak, and we're going to turn this into a beautiful dish called beef bourguignon. Okay. So we're going to get started by cutting your meat. You're going to do about a 1-inch cubes.
Okay.
Okay. And
so you got this beef through the FoodMesh program.
Yes.
From one of was it Save On Foods?
Yes, this was Save On Foods that I picked this up. But there are some other stores I do pick up as well.
Yeah.
From Bilo as well as IGA.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And so if you were picking up meat, let's say beef, and you weren't going to be using it straight away, would you be freezing that? How would you make sure that that was saved and still kept fresh?
Well, I do have another kitchen where I do have 5 freezers there.
Okay.
So I do that. But I also, if I don't have if I can't use the meat personally myself, I end up taking it to the Native Ed College where there's students there that can really use the food.
Okay.
And I give it to people who are in need. I mean, I have different organizations I give to.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the reach of the donations, would you say?
It can vary. Some of the students take their food and they take it to their hometown in like Lillooet and stuff over the weekends to feed their family.
Far out. Yeah.
I also have like Vancouver, Surrey. Some of the students come in from Surrey.
Yeah.
I tend to focus my most on downtown east side because I like to use the food and feed them as well. So.
Yeah.
Okay. This is good. I think we have more than enough. We can use that for later. And I need a bowl. Can I get one of my students to grab me a glass bowl, please, so I can put this in there?
Okay.
And this is Erica. She's one of my students. Okay.
Hi, Erica.
So we're going to put this in here. We're going to salt and pepper it. Okay. We're going to toss it up. And we just leave this for a little bit.
So what did you just put in there? Exactly?
Just some salt, some pepper. That's all you need to do.
Salt and pepper.
What tends to happen is the salt will start bringing out the fat and stuff in it. It starts making sort of cooking it a little bit.
Bringing out the flavor a little bit?
The flavor, there you go. So there's the salt and pepper. And then we're going to need some onions cut.
Okay.
Usually like 1 onion is more than enough.
All right.
And what I'm going to show you is how I teach my students how to cut an onion. Is you leave the root end on it.
Okay.
Okay, you go down with it.
Okay.
Okay. Take both sides off. This is how you make a nice dice, and that way everything's nice and even.
Yeah, I usually take that layer off as well because it's just not quite.
So when you're cutting an onion, you cut it 1 cut.
Okay.
and then you do a second cut, okay? And then you come straight down. So the root end is still intact, so your onion's not falling apart on you, okay?
Oh, wow.
Then you make a claw. That's the best way to cut.
Okay.
See, now they're all nicely same size.
Look at that.
Then when you run out of area, you just make a couple more slits down, and you go this way. And I'm a big believer that you don't want to waste food, so
Absolutely.
you cut it like this. I mean, I came from a family of 20,
yeah,
so we
yeah.
always made sure that there
There's
was
no
no
waste
waste.
there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's how you cut an onion. We're going to put that in this container here,
Okay.
where we've already got everything ready
All right.
in the back here. So I'm wanting to move towards the stove so we can get this pan seared.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. All right. So is that on about medium or?
A medium flame is good. I
Okay.
mean, gas cooks a lot faster, so
All
we have
right.
to be.
There's the oil.
All right, so we've heated up the pan just a little bit. Okay, we're going to add the oil. A good way of testing it is just putting your hand, just make sure it's gotten hot, because we want to make sure it's hot enough so that it sears it right away.
Okay. And then, so how much beef do we put in at once?
Well, it's very important that you don't crowd your beef, so you make a single layer of it.
Okay.
You put too much, then you start boiling your meat. And if you boil your meat, it makes it tough and makes it a lot harder to cook.
Okay, so it's not going to be as tender.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, so now it's time to take the beef off. And you can see just how beautiful the color of the pan is right now.
Yeah.
So the next step I want to do is it's called deglazing the pan.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab a rubber spatula. These are heat resistant so they can stand the heat. And then we're going to add the red wine. And what you're doing is you're going to take it, you're going to cook off the alcohol, but also you're going to use your spatula to take all those little particles from the bottom of the pan, just so that this is what, like I say, this is what's going to give you the coloring.
So they're actually incorporated, like you're using the little pieces from the bottom of the pan and using it, like bringing it into the sauce.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
it's making the color of the sauce.
Okay.
And also the flavoring as well
Mm.
from the meat that we had just seared off.
Mm. It smells delicious.
And as Erica was mentioning earlier, how searing the beef, you're searing all the juices as well. So that's an important component.
And how long does this step take? How long
It doesn't take very long. It's almost done already.
Okay.
So we're just about done. We're going to add, because all the particles are up, the wine has been cooked off.
Okay.
So we're going to add some garlic to this.
All right.
Okay. All right.
And so you've just minced up that garlic.
Yes, I've minced up the garlic. That'll be
Okay.
for another show, how to mince garlic, if you like.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so there's the garlic. We're going to add a bay leaf. We're also going to add some tomato paste, which is 2.5 teaspoons that I have here.
2.5 teaspoons.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Cook that off. Just let it cook for a little bit. And I'll just move these out of the way. And over here, I have some beef stock that I made earlier. It's 2 liters.
Okay.
So we're going to let this heat up. You see how nice and brown it's becoming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's turning into a beautiful color.
Yeah. So this is an important step. The next step is the flour, okay? And what you're going to do with the flour is you're going to add it and you're going to stir it up, and you're going to make, it's called a roux, okay? So you want to keep stirring it. You don't want it to become too lumpy. Okay. Okay, and you're incorporating it with the sauce. And then what you're going to do after that's been incorporated, you take the beef stock here and you slowly, don't add it all at once because
Okay.
you'll end up having it all clumpy. You're making the sauce this way. So it's important that you just, I always call it the love, on the sides of your pan, just kind of scrape it all back into your sauce.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to do now is I've taken the seared beef that we've seared previously, and we're just going to add it to the sauce. Okay.
All right.
All right.
So you've still got the bay leaf in there.
Yeah, the bay leaf comes out at the very end,
Okay.
once it comes out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and we're going to cover it with some tin foil.
Okay.
Okay. Good, and shut off the element.
Okay.
Some gloves on. Okay, and then we're going to be putting this in a 350-degree oven.
Okay.
Okay. For 1 hour. Okay.
So now that we've got the dish in the oven, I guess we've got a chance to chat a little bit about how you use up rescued food. And so what sort of volume of donations are you getting every week?
Well, I'm getting at least 100 pounds a day, so it could be up to 500 pounds a week that I get, and which is amazing to me that how much food could actually
That's great.
feed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what sorts of products, what departments do you get in the donations?
Oh, I get a wide variety. We get the meat department, the produce department, the dairy department, sometimes groceries, you know. So, and that's really good for feeding the families. It gives them a lot of opportunities to pick and choose what they need.
Absolutely.
And I'm finding that with the donations that we do receive, it's very rare that I have to throw anything out because it's
okay. The quality's there.
It's very good. Like
okay.
I was hesitant when I first started taking donations. It must be about 2.5 years ago already.
Right.
But I would say I probably maybe over that whole period, maybe a box of food. That's it.
Wow.
Everything else has been
That's fantastic.
reused. So yes.
That's good. Yeah. And I mean, you know, you've got lots of tips and tricks and experience with working with lots of different sorts of products. So you're able to really envisage, you know, meals that you can make,
yes,
food prep that you can do with all these different ingredients. So I'm sure you're really making the best use of all of the food that you receive.
We've never received any complaints on the food that we give out.
Yeah.
So yes.
Fantastic.
And like I say, with the rising costs and inflation happening, you know, like I say, even the students are appreciative. It's getting bigger and bigger. It's starting to grow because everything is so expensive.
Okay, well, thank you very much for telling us a little bit more about the donations and the food that you're working with and what you do with it and how you cook with it. I guess it's time to take the meal out of the oven.
Sure. Okay, let's do that then. All right, so we're going to take some bacon that we diced up, okay, and we want to fry it till it's crisp. Okay.
So did you add any oil into the pan first, or?
No, because the bacon's got a lot of oil. You could add if you like.
Yeah.
But okay. So we're going to add the onions. It's just starting to crisp up a little bit.
Okay.
And we're going to add the onions just so it becomes translucent.
Okay.
You're going to make sure you're not too high because you don't want it to burn on you. So now we're going to add the mushrooms, okay? Make sure the heat's turned down a little bit. Don't want to cook it too fast because I don't want to burn the onions, right?
Yeah. Are you about on medium heat now?
I've got it on medium to low.
Okay.
All right, so this is going to be put into the beef that's been in the oven for the last hour.
Okay.
Okay? And it should be pork tender by now. Okay. All right. And this will add nice flavor to the dish. Okay. All right. Okay, I've turned off the heat. Okay. We're going to pull out the dish that we put in to the oven. Look at that.
Wow, that smells amazing.
Yes. So just give it a stir. We're going to take the bay leaf out. Okay. See how nice it made a nice sauce? Like I say, that's why it's important that when you're searing it, is what gives the color to your dish. So we're going to add this. This is a very heavy frying pan, so I'm going to add this to there. Normally I would do it the other way around.
Okay.
But look at that. Nice. And I want to scrape it all, so get all the sauce in there.
That looks full of flavor. Look at that.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get this trayed up and plate it up, and then we can have a taste.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
excited. All right, so here we have it. So walk us through what we've got here. It looks like there's some sides.
Yes, we have a mashed potato, and we have the beetroot, carrot, what we steamed, and with place some honey on that, as well as an asparagus. Okay.
It looks divine.
Excellent.
Okay, so this is what we can do with rescued food.
Have a taste.
Okay, all right. So, I'll try and get all of the elements here.
Okay.
I'll try this bit first, I guess.
With the beetroot,
Okay.
it's very, very healthy for you.
Mm.
It's if you're having it cleanses your body, it cleans your blood as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to take away from your tasting.
No,
I know your
that's
mouth is
okay.
watering.
No, go
teasing
ahead.
you.
That's really tender. And
Yes.
very, very tasty.
Yes.
It's very rich.
It
in
is
a good
very
way.
rich. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's all different kinds of food. Even when I get risotto, I do a beetroot risotto, which is like amazing. So,
I think you should have some too.
oh, definitely, I'll give it a try.
That's divine.
Very good. I haven't had this in a long time. It's really good. So this is what you can make out of repurposing the food.
Yeah. There we go. There we have it.
Yes, and in a restaurant, you'd easily pay $40 to $50 for a plate like this. But what we're going to do, treat for the downtown east side, we're going to be packaging it up and giving them out today.
All right. Well, thank you so, so much for leading us through this cooking class today and showing us how to make this dish. It's absolutely delicious. And I'm really glad that it is going to people in need today.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was my pleasure.